Hey Reflections. So today I'm just going to keep it really chill. I'm going to be doing a video on Friday about healing sexual trauma and observing sexual trauma, so that's going to be really intense, and I'm just going to chill and update you guys on just my life and visions and lucid dreams and feeling like I'm on acid even though I'm not on any drugs. And that's just been something that I've been getting used to, and it's been really difficult actually. But anyway, so I've been really getting into occult symbolism, and I've been actually listening to some Mark Pesce. I know his new stuff is very different, and I appreciate the fact that he kind of just toned down the anger and the aggression. But I get it, you know, like for a long time I didn't get it, but awakening comes in stages, you know what I mean? And I was at one part, you know, and that stage of awakening is very about me, you know, manifesting for me. I want for me, not really thinking about the collective, and I really admire that mindset because I also have that mindset. And once you start seeing people that are talking about manifesting wealth, you know, and manifesting success and like things that are just good for them, you're just like, but wait a minute, what about everybody else? You know, why do I have to be the only one that has? Why can't everybody? You know, why can't I wish for everybody to have success? Why do I only have to wish for material success? Why can't we wish for spiritual success? You know, like, I mean, it seems very just one-dimensional, and I feel that, you know, a lot of his stuff, like myself, has transformed, and I appreciate that, and I recognize that. And just because, you know, I didn't like a certain person's videos before does not mean that I'm going to, you know, not keep that like in the back of my mind and say, I don't want any of your information. If I see somebody generally changes and I see growth and progression and transformation, then absolutely I'm more than willing to take a look again. And I really appreciate a lot of his stuff. And, you know, I guess he got that hint from a lot of people that valued his information and, you know, wanted his information. But I think a lot of that has to do with our judgment, and we have very different views on things, but that doesn't mean that I don't feel thankful for his research and I don't find any value in his research. Obviously, we can all have our differences and still believe in truth and still believe in interconnectedness and love, you know, and compassion. So that's where I believe in just living with each other and not, you know, not really judging too hard, because we're all here to learn, you know. And to me, that's been so important. Let me get my crystal. I had another crystal, but I lost it when I was moving, when I pretty much lost or abandoned a lot of my stuff. I'll go into that story Friday. It's really heavy, so and it was a lot of detachment of, you know, materialism and detachment of having multiples of one thing. Got me? Like, I feel that's where the sickness is for people. It's not being happy with one thing, and I found that within myself. I got one rock, I went to go get another crystal, and that really showed me a lot about my own materialism and my own attachment to the material world, and how I was just like the people that I was, you know, judging. So again, that experience, and I'll talk about that tomorrow, really, really taught me a lot about the value of not a lot of stuff, you know, of less is more, of minimalism, you know. I don't really have a lot of stuff right now, and I'm really happy about that. And when I continue my journey with obviously my family and starting my own, and starting, you know, getting a house, we're saving for that for next year, obviously. I want things to be minimal. Like, I don't want things to be too showy. I just want to just have the space to be happy, and yeah, not something too big or too show-offy or too look at me. You know, those are things that I found within myself before. I mean, that's exactly why I was living where I was living before. And dealing or living a more modest life, living within your means, I find that really interests me now. You know, it's not really about showing off and saying, look at me, look at what I can do. You know, I realize sometimes that could be my videos sometimes, but it's good to like make fun of ourselves and understand, you know, we're not perfect, but we are. That's that paradox that we're dealing with. Also that annoyance of why is this happening, but everything's happening for a reason. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's really helped me through this and through all of these hard times, because I've been going through a lot, you know, a lot of ego death, a lot of detachment. My boyfriend has been as well. We've been going through this together, and it can really either split that, or, you know, split people, or it could bring them together. And I find tragedy and loss really does bring us together, you know, and I've been dealing with a lot of that. So I've been just really keeping my head up and keeping focused and keeping that love vibration and keeping inspired, because that's the only thing that's been, you know, keeping me sane. And, you know, I met my significant other at a rave last year. We went this week to go celebrate, and it was a good experience, you know, but we did realize how much we grew from that space. You know, we both went there and we both left pretty early, because for us at least, connecting with people, yes, you know, having that love vibration, yes, but I find only in New York, I feel, or like where I've been experiencing the rave culture in New York, so I can't really say for other places. I did not experience this in Europe, like in Germany or the UK, but I find here it's all about being cool, you know, and being cooler than everybody else, and just drugs, you know, and sex. And I mean, like, that's, I've moved past that, you know, I've moved past that. My partner's moved past that. We are far more, like, even when I was going there, like, I'm so thankful, and this is what I mean, like, being thankful for the things that are there, but knowing when to let go, okay? So that place helped me find my partner, you know, and I'm so thankful for that. But at the same time, you know, I know when something is just not for me, and it could get bad, you know, for some people. And I find a lot of that is like anger, resentment, fighting with one another, you know, like not everyone, but you know, again, not my style, you know, I'm not into that really. But yeah, I wanted to talk about my mind state before I met my partner. I had done a lot of DMT, number one, and I've done a lot of acid and mushrooms, so I really, and I say this because it's so important, this is why I'm going to talk about this in the next video, I had to heal the sexual trauma within my life. And a lot of it had to do with my self-worth, my value, my views on men, how I treated myself, how I viewed myself, how I thought men would view me. And until I fixed that, I, you know, put myself in situations where I was just like, what? No thank you, or ugh, this isn't what I was looking for, or this isn't what I want. And I kept on having that unfulfillment. And just, I could say I'll talk about that next video, because you know, I'm kind of going into that. But yeah, my mindset was that, and you can ask any of my friends that actually know me, I was saying, I don't need a man, like I don't need anyone, I am completely whole and full, and I am at one with everyone and connected. And you know, like, yeah, you have to be in that mind frame when you are meeting someone that will help you through this or make this experience a little bit more fun, because you are getting what you are. You know, you are getting what you are. And I'm going to say that again because it's so important. You're getting what you are. And would you date you? You know what I mean? Before, you know, I did all this healing, before I had my awakening, before I did all of that self-work. Now, I wasn't perfect when I met him because we had to go through a lot of trauma and a lot of ego deaths together, you know, and I am going to talk a little bit about that, because our relationship could have been tweaked. You know, it's always about refining and evolving. And I remember that our relationship, the first thing we talked about was DMT, was spirituality. And the first thing he said was, "You remind me of my mother." So that's what I mean by it's you, it's what you put attention to. My partners before, I felt were not into the same things I was into, but obviously look at my lifestyle, look at what I spent my time, you know, like it just, I wasn't really living it. And the more I began living my truth, before, you know, when I started being authentic to myself and I started walking the walk and talking, not just talking the talk, my life started transforming. A lot of those transformations were very scary, you know, but a YouTuber, I suggest you watch him, Aaron Gok, I believe is how you say his name, but he puts up a lot of Terrence McKenna stuff. And, you know, I remember him saying, you know, the universe loves courage. And I truly feel that. I truly feel that because I had to take a leap of courage. I had to just go and leave all of the things behind me and, you know, do things for love. You know, do things for myself. Do things because I was worth it, because I deserve, finally, you know, a loving and respectful and honest and someone that is communicative. I deserve that. And, you know, for the longest time, because of my programming, because of the learned behaviors I picked up from my family members, from everyone around me, all of these toxic, negative relationships where people weren't talking to one another and weren't really, you know, understanding one another, and we're coming from a place of anger and judgment. And I find that sometimes we do that, but then we smoke a joint. And we sit there and we talk and we express and we come from an honest, loving space. So, I mean, that's how I do things. That's how we do things. And that's how we differ from, I like to call our ancestors and the people before us, because, you know, there is thankfully a deeper sense of awareness where, you know, I pinpoint when I'm hurting him, when I'm acting nasty, you know, I pinpoint when I'm doing that. And I feel like he does too sometimes, because we're all human. We all do that, and we all have to realign ourselves and come from, like, just look, you know, look at what you're doing. Look at the pain that you're causing. Look at all the trauma you're causing. Look at all the hurt you're causing, and then just step back and come from a space of, you know, we're in this together. You know, we're all in this together. And that's been something I've been dealing with, you know, and I feel like our relationship's so much stronger. We dealt with a lot, you know, but it really made us stronger. I don't really like to talk about my problems to people, or like in my like material life, because I'm just not that type of person. So for the longest time, we were a little like, you know, scared. He had lost his job, you know, I lost my, you know, I gave up my apartment. I'm going to talk about that the next day, because it all ties in on how I had to have a death, like an ego death, a death of, you know, attachment, materialism, and so did he. You know, we both, and we saw the synchronicity of that. We saw it. We saw that we were meeting each other at a major transition of our lives, and becoming more selfless, and becoming more about unconditional love, and understanding our traumas, and understanding that, you know, we come with baggage and programming, and we're not perfect, but we're always evolving and trying to be the best for each other and for humanity and for the people around us, you know. So when you find somebody like that, hold on to them for dear life, you know, hold on to them for dear life, because it's really hard to find somebody like that. And I'm so blessed and thankful. So yeah. I had to do a lot of work, you know. I had to do a lot of soul work and a lot of inner work, and I'm just so blessed, you know. It feels like we're over that. So he lost his job, and that, you know, made us feel very unstable, but we had to keep faith, we had to keep hope, and we had to really monitor. It was hard, you know, I'm not gonna lie, it was hard, it was difficult, you know, when you are living with, you know, family members, and, you know, you don't have your own house, obviously, you lose your job, it could get stressful, other people could get stressed out, like not you and your partner. So like we really had to control that and balance that energy and be there for one another, like really be there for one another, and be each other's support through that. So he eventually got a job, which paid more actually, and he got, you know, offered something, and it just was so synchronistic, you know. When we had actually an argument, it wasn't really an argument, he thinks of them as arguments, I think of them as understandings, you know, understandings why we do what we do, understandings why we hurt one another. So when we have those arguments, I come at it from a different perspective, and I do shed some light on a lot of stuff for him, and that opens up so much healing, and he does the same thing for me. I never thought that this is a one-sided thing. He always pushes me to think deeper and to challenge myself, and to look at myself. So yeah, let's see, I did the tarot, and I asked to be open to information, and I did a 6-card draw because I usually do that because my life path number is 6, the number of humanity. I do a 6-card draw because my number is 33. So 33, 3 plus 3 is 6. So I'm not going to do a 33 card draw because I just wanted to keep this very simple. But yeah, so I did 6. Let's see. So this is the first one that came up, the King of Swords. This card to me represents transformation, truth, understanding, spiritual understanding. Yeah, so you could see it within the symbology. Behind him, the throne is the angels, the butterflies. Sorry, I'm not really looking at them, so I'm trying to remember. And I have some notes here. And the purple symbolizing compassion, and the blue meaning spiritual understanding. This card to me represents the power of truth, and it's so funny that this card comes up because to me, when and I'm pretty sure this is you guys as well, anyone that can identify with myself, the collective, anybody talking about truth, when you talk truth, especially in the real world, I'm not talking about YouTube, I'm not talking about to you guys, I'm talking about in my reality, even people that identify as spiritual, they become offended. And they become uneasy, and they don't really like truth, and I feel that's what that sword is. That's what that represents. That spiritual, that deep spiritual understanding, and that transformation of the self. And I find it just very interesting that this card comes up. So yeah, it means intellectual power, authority, character, leader. The second one, of course, judgment. Of course. So this one means judgment, rebirth, inner calling, absolution. And I find a lot of these cards are like, this is relating to the collective, guys. This is relating to all of us. This is relating to truth. So this card shows a whole bunch of naked men and women, and they're rising from basically coffins. You know, you could see they're rising from the dead almost, which I find that very interesting. So the judgment, it shows naked men and women and children rising from their graves. Their arms are all spread out, reaching out for Gabriel, the archangel. Let's see. The people are appealing to the angel, ready to be judged. So basically, they're all ready to be judged by the power of the universe. So I find that, yeah, there are 3 major arcana cards in here and 3 minor arcana cards. The next one that comes up is the Hermit. And this one, again, it means a lot to me because, number one, it represents soul-searching, introspection, being alone, inner guidance, and knowledge, deep esoteric knowledge, deep knowledge of the self, that one has, deep spiritual knowledge that one has attained by being with the self and observing the self, and inner wisdom. So yeah, this card represents a lot to me, and I believe all of us. The judgment, the truth, the Hermit, because I find, like myself, I always have that deep anxiety of social interaction. And I use a lot of the time that I have by myself when my partner's at work to do a lot of soul searching, to do a lot of inner work, and I spend a lot of time doing that alone, you know, not with anybody around me. And on the weekends, obviously, I'm around people, but I use that time wisely. The Nine of Wands, which I kind of feel, I mean, that's how I felt earlier, you know, when I was going through, when we were going through a lot, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel this way: courage, persistence, test of faith, resilience. And if you can see, I didn't really do the Hermit card. I'm trying to like go faster because I don't really want this video to be very long, obviously, but whatever, it's probably gonna happen. And he just looks like he's been through some shit. He's like he's been through battle, and these wands are protecting him. And that's really how I felt. I'd say last week, the week before, and it's really a test of courage, you know. Nature and the universe loves courage. The next one is the stars, and this was the major arcana card that came up, and this means hope, spirituality, renewal, inspiration. This is a very feminine card. There's water, there's a female. I'm going to go just quickly through this, and this also represents to me the chakras. I've had a few dreams on the chakras, and I'll talk about that just in a minute, and a few third eye visions. And the last card that came up, which again I really do feel, and it was the only reverse card in, you know, this draw. It was the reverse of the Three of Swords, and it was in the heart. And this looks like a really scary card, but you know what? It's reversed, and we've learned a lot about our traumas. We've learned a lot about the self. We've learned about a lot of the demons and the things that control us, and we've done so much inner work. So this is basically releasing pain, forgiveness and optimism. And I feel that this card is what I've been, you know, just detaching from everything, detaching from the pain. Everything seems like it was a dream. Everything seems like it was so long ago, even though it was, you know, not that long ago. But that's why I feel that I can open my heart. That's why I can feel that I can tell my story, because I've survived. You know, I've survived, and I've learned. And it's not even about the survival, it's the learning so much. You know, I've learned so much about myself. I've taken a step back, and I've really reevaluated my life, and I'm so thankful. You know, I'm so thankful for all of that. Anyway, the lighting's kind of weird with this, but I'm going to talk about now the different visions I've been having. First off, and I'll probably put in a picture or something, but the other day I saw the all-seeing eye, and I saw it with the light coming from within it, and it was a triangle. It wasn't like, it was just a tiny triangle, and it was an eye with light shining through. And there's something there out there looking at us for sure, you know, and giving us a lot of love and hope, and you know, yeah, I've recently talked to another friend and YouTuber, and he was telling me, giving us guidance. You know, Aaron Gok, I go to him again because he's so similar to me. I really resonate to all of the videos that he does. Doing this, it almost feels like I am stripping myself from, you know, the ego, because I'm putting out everything so raw and so truthful, and just putting myself out there, and so at risk of, you know, being judged. But at the same time, I know that this is necessary, you know, for my soul. I know that it's necessary to transcend that fear of, you know, whatever nonsense, because I didn't, like I always say, I didn't come here to get my feelings hurt. So yeah, I've been having also lucid dreams of also chakras as well, and the different colors of the chakras. So I feel like I myself have to balance my chakras. I haven't done that in a while, so maybe 2 or 3 months I should do that again. I also have been having dreams of the geometries of the universe alongside mathematical equations. So it happened like 2 or 3 days in a row. The first day I got really inspired because it told me in my dreams, what are you doing here? You're paying, and it's kind of like when I was in college, I was that type of college person. I would wait till the end to research information, do all my work, and then pass, you know. But it said to me in my dream, in my lucid state, it said, Samina, what are you doing? You paid so much money for this. You put so much on the line for this. You wanted this so much, and now you're not studying. Now you're not, you know. And I find myself sometimes getting distracted. We all do. And that was a dream, I feel like, from my higher self that was really just implanting that idea of like, just go do it, go research, don't waste your time, don't waste your energy, and that was very motivational for me. Another dream I had was again in a classroom, and I feel like this reality is a classroom. It is training wheels for, you know, what reality is, you know, which is far more real than what this is. So yeah, I lost my train of thought. Lucid dreams, yeah. So it was the mathematics of the universe, and it was equations. I was understanding them, and of course in those states of awareness, like, you know everything. And I came back from that lucid dream of learning, and it was like a textbook. I was in a classroom, and all this information was telepathic. And I woke up, and I just remember that image of learning, you know, geometries, and learning the mathematics of the geometries, and learning that in my sleep. And of course I followed that dream. I feel like that dream was very much like the movie Inception, where your higher self is implanting ideas, you know, and then you research those ideas. Because then I went on the internet, you know, I went on YouTube, and I find, so sure enough, I find someone that is into the mathematics and the geometries, and he does a whole bunch of research on that, and I started learning. And of course, you know, like, it's just so synchronistic. So if you guys have any experience with that, if you guys have any dreams of being in a classroom and learning all of these informations on, you know, mathematics, on geometries, on the sciences, on the psyche, on astrology, on all of these things, please comment down below, let me know. I'm, you know, I'm just so interested, and yeah, so that's what's been happening. Those are the dreams. I had another experience with a endogenous DMT release this week, actually, and it was while I was, and I'll go through this in another video because it's just so much information, I can't just do it right now. It's the end of this video. So I was watching Sivan Bomar, and he has some really interesting stuff, and I was listening to The Matrix 101, and I was listening to the him talk about the I Ching and the 64 hexagrams, and remember the square hypnagogic hallucination I saw? Yeah, well, that wasn't a square, that was a hexagram. I was seeing the hexagrams. That's what I was seeing. That's why I thought it was a computer chip. That's why my mind went there, and that's when I started really getting into that flow, really getting into that galactic energy, really being open to that information. And then all of a sudden I felt like I was on acid while he was talking about the similarities of how humans store computers, humans store information and computers store information. And I felt like I was on acid all of a sudden. I felt like I was just like dying, and my foot chakra is open, and my palm chakra is open, and all of this energy was like pulsating, and it lasted a good 30 minutes. It scared me a little bit, not gonna lie. I immediately went to balance my foot chakra, and I felt that energy blockage, like I felt it. So what I did was I put 3 tablespoons of sea salt in with some water, and I mixed it. I put it in a glass and I put it next to the the bottom of my feet, and I cupped it there, and I just I sat there for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. As soon as I put the salt water to my feet, since salt water is a conductor, it just like drew everything out, and it felt like this like pain for like 5 seconds. And then what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to swirl your hand on the tops of your feet while the glass is there, to just swirl that energy, release that energy. And as soon as I did that, I felt much more grounded. I felt less fearful, and that really did help release a lot of energy. I'm going to be doing a lot of that balancing of my chakras because I feel like it's very necessary. Anyway, reflections. Yeah, I've just been keeping it cool, keeping it chill, and learning at such a rapid space. It feels almost like at times, I don't know if other people can relate to this, but I feel as if my body cannot contain my soul. My soul is expanding. It's so expansive. It's just so big that it just feels impossible to contain, and that's been a little terrifying. I realized that there is a fear of change, and there is a fear of growth, and that also needs to be looked at and addressed. And I'm just taking it day by day, and I'm observing it really and understanding it and processing that fear of letting go, that transcendental object at the end of time where you yourself have to become, Christ consciousness, where you have to become the Buddha, where you have to just, be strength and light and go within the light. So I've been really meditating on that, meditating on death a lot, and it's getting deep, but anyway, reflections. Yeah, let me know if you feel the shift. Let me know how you guys are feeling as well. If you also, like sometimes I get anxiety, sometimes I have to calm myself. A lot of the times I have to just I feel like I'm just stopping the brakes. I'm like, no, like now's not my time. I have a lot of stuff to do here. And it's that attachment to the illusion, it's knowing everything is. And it's been really difficult to deal with. And that's why love is so important. Love is so important. The love in your heart, the love for others, and the love for yourself. Anyway, anyway, reflections. Yeah, let me know how you guys are dealing with that, how you guys cope with that. And yeah. Anyway, reflections. I hope you're having an awesome, awesome, awesome day. Hey, reflections. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe, and check out my other videos.